rare logo, and the coral. In the Donkey Kong Country Returns menu screen, if you select the options button, you can actually see the rare logo, the rareware logo, like in coral, so that's a cool reference. New mode. New mode was, a new mode added to Donkey Kong Country Returns 3DS port. In this mode, you have 3 hearts. There are more items on the shop. Generally just makes the game easier, but I think the reason why I put it on here is because the name. The name is just terrible. New mode. That's literally what it's called. Lord Frederick's German name. And the German version of Tropical Freeze, or I guess if you just change the language of Tropical Freeze, that's a German. Lord Frederick's name is Lord Torture. So, yeah, pretty metal. And, kind of dark, but it's cool. The DK mascot for Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D passed out. So, while Nintendo made an ad for the Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D, there was this guy in a Donkey Kong suit who popped out of, like, this like, paper. He shredded it. It's pretty cool. And people were testing out the game on the 3DS. And it seemed pretty normal at first until you go into comments. One of the most popular comments was a guy saying this person wasn't given enough water beforehand, and he had to move around a lot, and he actually ended up fainting. And Nintendo should have been, like, more cautious with, like, giving him water beforehand. Because, yeah, if you're going to be in a mascot costume that long without water, things aren't going to look too good for you. The moles built the rocket barrels. The mole miners, specifically in the cave world, could have built the rocket barrels since, I mean, if they were smart enough to build the train, it'd make sense that they could build the rocket barrels. And we never really seen the moles walking around, just pop out of mine carts or riding one, or floating on balloons occasionally in a level like Mole Patrol. I guess it's kind of likely. A new Snippy in Tropical Freeze title screen. Snippy is a crab enemy in Donkey Kong Country Returns, specifically in the beach world. It occurs in some other stages in the game now. You can see one in a title screen of Tropical Freeze, like next to the DK treehouse, except there are no actual Snippies in Tropical Freeze, so it's just an Easter egg, I suppose. Sparkling enemies. There are 2 sparkling enemies in Tropical Freeze, and they both give you a lot more than a normal enemy would, with like banana coins and balloons. The first one is a flaming buzz tiki at the end of Treetop Bop, the 3rd level of the game, and then a jelly bob at the end of Stormy Shore. It's a cool little thing, although it doesn't really matter that much. It's kind of weird, but at least they do tell you. Handybot and Colonel Pluck run the factory. Handybot was in the background of a level called, I believe it was Handy Hazards, and also it's Frozen in Tropical Freeze's factory ice level, Frozen Frenzy, which is cool. Colonel Pluck is the boss of the factory world in Returns. It can be assumed that because they're the strongest ones that control the most, they're the ones who run the factory. Maybe they were the ones who built the robots? That would make sense. Lord Frederick is K. Rool. Okay, obviously Lord Frederick is not K. Rool, but there was an image here, I drew it on the internet. It was like people comparing Lord Frederick and King K. Rool when they found concept art of Lord Frederick before the Wii U release of Tropical Freeze. People were comparing like the tusks and the feet and the large belly, and people were saying, oh, K. Rool is Lord Frederick. And people were disappointed when that ended up not being the case. So, yeah. Every Tropical Freeze world is a continent. There's a theory that every Tropical Freeze world is a continent. Lost Mangroves is North America, specifically like the south part of it, since it's like sunny and like kind of tropical. Autumn Heights is Europe because of all like things like autumn and like the houses and the windmills feel very European. Bright Savannah is Africa for obvious reasons. Seabreeze Cove is Oceania for also obvious reasons. Juicy Jungle is South America because of like the warm climate, and Donkey Kong Island is Antarctica because it's frozen and Tropical Freeze, so is Antarctica. It's a pretty cool theory actually, and I wouldn't be that surprised if that's where the developers at Retro Studios got it based on. Tropical Freeze's plot is based off a German Nintendo Power comic. In a German Nintendo Power comic, I'm not really sure when, but it had to be before Tropical Freeze, there was a comic where Donkey Kong's island was frozen, just like in Tropical Freeze, and they had to make their way back home. It's obviously not a direct, like, similarity, but it's pretty cool. And also, this is the second time I talk about Tropical Freeze being related to German. If I had 2 nickels for every time that happened, I'd have 2 nickels. Wait. Yeah. Cable's Face and Grassland Groove. Cable's Face can be found in one part of Grassland Groove, and you can see like the eyes and like the long like snout and the teeth. But what really makes it stick out is a large banana bunch above him that looks like a crown. It's a cool Easter egg, and not a lot of people know about it compared to things like the hidden Metroid or more popular Tropical Freeze Easter eggs. It's pretty cool, actually. Sticker Brush Symphony and Wii U credits scrapped in Switchport. Sticker Brush Symphony was in the Wii U credits of Tropical Freeze. It was a very nice song. It's probably like one of my favorite remixes of the song. It was scrapped in a Switch version for the Funkies credits, and if you want my opinion on this, I think the Funkies credit should have just stayed in Funky mode, and they should have left Sticker Brush Symphony in, because it's a very nice song originally, and David Weiss, and I believe it was someone else, did an excellent job remixing it. The Tikis invaded Bright Savannah / Tiki Goons died in Grassland Groove. These things are kind of similar, so I kind of grouped them together here. The first thing is a bit more obvious, and that is the Screaming Pillars, a popular enemy in Donkey Kong Country Returns, even appearing in the first level of Jungle Hijinks. They appear in the level Scorch and Torch only, but what's even more interesting than that is you can see these in the image gallery of Tropical Freeze. You can see some Tiki Goons sitting next to in a large open field next to like a huge like African-styled hut, and they're just dead because like they're like these rocks. They're not moving. They do not look alive at all. It's just a theory, but if this is true, it's pretty cool, if you ask me. Professor Chop's family / Pig Village. So we know there's more than one Professor Chops. It can't just be like one of them moving throughout the level to provide checkpoints for the player. And the reason I say this is because we see that in Mangrove Cove, the first level of Tropical Freeze, there's a secret area where you can get a puzzle piece, and the Professor Chops, there's got to be like 5 of them, are hanging out in like this little underground bar, like kind of like a bar. It's really cool, and they hand out bananas to you. So we know there's multiple of them. But one of my favorite pieces of concept art in Tropical Freeze is based off the Juicy Jungle world with like the bricks and like the dried paint. Really cool art style. But you see like a bunch of different these pigs. Some have like these wigs. Some don't have glasses. So we know there's got to be more of them. Maybe the Pig Village was supposed to be in the game, because there's actually some more concept art in the Juicy Jungle world of multiple of these pigs controlling like this whole like Fruity Factory world, not just a level. And if that's the case, that is really cool, and it's really unfortunate that they didn't keep it in, but oh well. And finally, the Tidal Terror Unsettling Aurora. Tidal Terror is by far one of the creepiest levels in either one of these games. Well, more unsettling than creepy, because you have these waves in the background. Music is a remix of Northern Hemisphere, one of the creepy songs from the original DKC, and that's saying something. That game has a lot of creepy songs. And you just have these waves coming up from behind you. And in every other instance in the game, whenever you fall down a pit or get killed by an enemy, it usually isn't that bad. Getting hit by these waves feels especially nerve-wracking here, since they come less than every 10 seconds. It's kind of a cliche to put the whole unsettling Aurora part in this Iceberg, but this is the level that really stuck out to me the most when it came to that.